a stretch to the edge. What a hurl by Jackson! Highlight reel touchdown! The seed is going to be Louisville and Brown. Louisville, national champion.
Hello, Card Nation, and welcome to another episode of the Third Banner Pod.
What it do? It's Miami game week, baby. Let's go.
It's Miami game week. I'm your host tonight, Patrick. I'm joined by our main man, Ross, who's in Miami game week shape over there.
Bucket
he's got
hat.
the hat.
Bucket hat.
He's got the PK glasses. He's ready for this episode and for this game this weekend. We're missing Kyle tonight. He's off in the Florida sand playing somewhere.
He's playing in Milton sand.
That's right. He's bringing the Card Nation fever down to Florida before Miami comes up here, and hopefully that'll be good luck for us. Josh is at work, so it's just me and Ross tonight. We've got a good episode, though. We got it was Louisville Basketball Media Day yesterday, so we'll kind of hit on that. And our first exhibition game is Monday night, so we'll kind of go into what we're expecting with that and preview the season just a little bit. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Rick and his comments / kind of what Luke Hancock said in response. And then also, of course, we'll get into the Miami football game, maybe a little bit of our thoughts from the Virginia game and what we need to do to get a top 10 victory this weekend at home. So a full episode with a little basketball, a little football, and a lot of Ross. Ross, how you doing tonight, man?
Pumped, man. I'm ready to bring it. I'm this is one of those weeks, man, where we need that Jeff Brom magic, baby. Like, I'm feeling the Jeff Brom magic. This is one of those weeks where you feel like a Jeff Brom team is down and out.
Yeah.
And this is shaped up so nicely. Plus, we've seen Miami. They've gotten away with 2 losses. They should have potentially 2 losses on their schedule. Give the ACC refs credit. Give Miami a little bit of credit for being able to overcome those situations. But it's all shaping up very nicely for Louisville to pull this top 10 defeat, baby. I'm feeling it. I'm bringing it. I'm putting the good juju out there into the universe. We're going to speak it into existence tonight.
Nice. Well, obviously, we'll get into the Miami game later, but let's start out tonight talking about Louisville basketball. Media Day was Tuesday. A lot going on there. Some highlights for me. You had Coach Kelsey and the players really talking about how they wanted to be that first team that brought back Louisville basketball, and that the pride they're taking into that. You've got a veteran group that came here specifically. I mean, I'm sure NIL played a part, but specifically on the basketball court to get Louisville back to the tournament and to make their name in that 1 year that they're here. We've got a lot of 1-year guys, but they want to be the group that brings Louisville back to prominence. So that was big. Hearing Pat Kelsey talk about, what the fans mean to the program and filling the Yum again, which I think you're going to see some games this year where the Yum's full, was
Absolutely.
big. And yeah, I mean, media day doesn't give you a ton, but it's a good way to, you know, see what is on the players and coaches' minds before the season starts. And we've got a game Monday. So Ross, what, you know, with basketball season right around the corner, what are you most excited about for the game Monday, and what are you looking for as we get ready for our first exhibition game and to start this huge season for our basketball program?
I'm just looking for continued growth upon what we showed in the Bahamas. Um, Pat Kelsey made an emphasis in his presser yesterday, addressed to the media, that there are no games off, that there are no gimme games, that he realizes, and he stresses to both the players and his coaching staff that some of these teams, they want to win too. Not some of these teams, all these teams, they want to win. And putting a D1 caliber win on their schedule like Louisville would mean a whole hell of a lot to their season, right?
Yeah.
So he realizes that people are coming for that crown, so to speak, and he realizes it. So I just want to see us continue to build on the Bahamas and continue to show that fight. And God damn, that's a bad word this day and age, but
All right, Kenny Payne.
yeah, right. Continue to show that high level effort, and willingness to put it out there and leave it out there, that we know that Louisville basketball is and can be. So that's really what I'm looking forward to, just to build upon what we saw in the Bahamas, because what we saw in the Bahamas was excellent, and to me, it was weeks ahead of progress, what I thought we were going to look like.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. And I think you hit on something there that was huge to me when watching them in the Bahamas. And it was the constant effort. I mean, those games, we got up early and we got up big, but you didn't see them take the foot off the gas pedal.
No, they kept doing them and kept playing.
They kept playing. They kept working. So, yeah, I'm hoping to see the same in these exhibition games. Listen, after the past 2 years, I'm not taking anything for granted when it comes to these exhibition games. I want to win them, and I want to win them big, because I want to go into this season feeling confident. The last 2 years, after watching our team lose exhibition games, I already had a bad feeling going into the actual season. So I want to see our team take care of business on Monday, take care of business the following Monday, and then get ready for the season the following Monday. We've got these 2 games in 2 Mondays that'll get us ready for it. And then what I'm also looking forward to is, you obviously had Louisville Live. You had a good crowd there. So the Yum has been, has gotten to see this team. But the Yum has not gotten to see this team versus another team yet. So I'm excited to see how many fans show up, what the mood is like in the arena. And really,
I think it's going to be electric, man. I think the fans are biting at the bit to get in there and support a real team, a real team that will compete, and show effort. Not to beat a dead horse, but going back to the past 2 years, if we had just seen a team that would go out there night in and night out and would just compete every night, and we saw that from some players. Some
Yeah.
players really did go out there and give it their all almost every night while also getting their brains beat in. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't see that as an entire team the past 2 years. And I think if we could have just seen that bare minimum would have meant a lot to the fans, but we never got that. And I feel like the fan base senses that this team is going to do that this year, like, because we've got a coach, by God, like, he may not be the smartest or, the best coach per se out there right now, but you're not going to outwork his ass. And
Yeah.
that demeanor, that attitude is going to rub off on his team. You know what I mean? That sounded pause. Um, that is going to trickle down onto the team, and I think we all sense it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, I mean, let's be honest. This is obviously year one of the Pat Kelsey era, but it's a big year for him because if he can establish his brand here, if he can establish the culture he wants here, and if he can establish our brand again in college basketball and show the nation, show these high school kids that we're recruiting that, hey, man, you can come here, you can be successful, you can get into the tournament, you can go make some money, whether it's overseas or in the NBA. If he can do that with this team, then I think the floodgates start to open when you're talking about high school recruiting and
Yeah.
getting some of these top 10 level guys that we're getting on campus. I think to be able to close on these guys, whether it's in season or in future years, this season's big, and you've got to show the nation that, hey, Louisville basketball's back and I'm leading the charge. So hop on the train.
Yeah,
Um,
and not to change the subject or like digress from what we're talking about, but you bring up a good point about the high school basketball with high school recruiting with basketball. Like, the dynamic with NIL with college basketball and the dynamic with college football is so different, like, when you look at it. And a lot of it's just because of the semantics of, you got 5 players versus 22 starting players, like, it makes a big difference. But, like, you could go and get 1 or 2 freshman phenoms in basketball,
yeah.
and then you could fill in with, a player or two, out of the portal, a bit that you spend some money on to go and get to be instant impact players. And you could build a team like that. You could see building a team like that every year in college basketball, and that being a successful, recipe.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're also bringing in a guy here or there that you're grooming up through the system, like a Kenai Ruths, to come in and be this top tier talent. And it's like in football, you're looking like there's still so many unknowns because it's such a large number of players
Yeah.
that you're trying to equate into this equation. And like, I still feel like the jury's out on what is the best way to do it for football. But I feel like it's much more finite and much more apparent in college basketball about how you can build a winner in this NIL era. So, I would, that being that, I would say I would love to land like a top 10 like point guard, you know what I mean? And then, like, have some guys that you can filter in that you brought
Brown.
in through NIL, and maybe have like a Kanai Ruse like come up that's been in through the system a year or two. I mean, that seems like the way to go. It seems a lot easier to obtain and achieve than it does in football.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't mean to digress, but it's just the dynamics of winning in NIL era and basketball and football is just like so different right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the roster construction in basketball is a little bit easier because, like you said, the numbers are just so different. And the impact of a freshman in basketball is usually more tangible than one in football. Now,
For sure.
obviously, you get people like Isaac Brown. He's
Yeah, I was gonna say unless you're Isaac Brown,
right? But basketball seems to have a lot more success and effect from their freshman class. So Russell Clark, thanks for listening, man. We see you say hopefully we get Sheldon Henderson. I'd love to get Sheldon Henderson. It does not sound like that is going in our direction lately. It sounds like
that's going in Duke's direction. Is that right?
yeah. It sounds like Duke is basically he's theirs to lose. But I think you talk about guys that we could get. I think we're looking really good right now for Michael Brown, the point guard. He's a top 10 point guard, like Ross was talking about, and he's one that's gonna his decision. I don't think will come until in season. He wants to see a game here. I'm sure he wants to see a game at some.
He
of
wants
his
to make his visits.
Interests. Yeah, he wants to make his visits, and he wants to see in live games. He doesn't want to just come during the summer and see the facilities. So that's what I'm talking about this being a crucial year. I mean, again, it's a crucial year for many aspects, but like recruiting wise, if Pat can show that, hey, here's my style, it works at this level, then I think you're gonna see a guy like Brown commit. And when you get that first guy, if you get a top 10 point guard, you're gonna get another two good recruits.
That recruiting energy becomes synergistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, big season. We'll get it started Monday with an exhibition game. Hopefully people can get out there and support the team and show them what the Yum is about. I'm just so excited to see a Louisville basketball atmosphere again this year. And I hope it starts from game one. I hope people don't wait to see what the product looks like, because the product is going to be good, guys. So get out there early.
No question.
And give the team your support. Before we move on to the football game, Ross, in the chat here, obviously there was some other news here in the Bluegrass this week. Rick Pitino made his way back to Kentucky for their Blue Midnight Madness or Big Blue Madness, whatever they call it down there, and the football game where they lost to Vanderbilt. So maybe he needs to make his way to more Kentucky football games if they're.
What's funny? What's funny is that I can't remember if it was like Drew Diener's show or Ennis's show or Rutherford's show. I mean, maybe it may have been multiple. Like they made mention of Rick being there and bringing that Rick Hex to the football game, and by God, it happened.
It did, man. It did, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that.
I mean, he just. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. Like, there is a part of me that is happy for UK fans that Rick has made amends with them. Okay. And part of that comes from me being very empathetic in the sense that I do. I love Rick Pitino, okay? Like, he brought us so much that I have a hard time really shitting on that man. And plus, on top of it, like, I know some of his family members, and they're really good people, and they don't always agree with like what he does, you know what I mean? But they're still gonna ride or die with him because that's their family, right? So like I I really don't have a whole lot of ill will for Rick um for going back to UK and getting the admiration. I really don't. Like, it doesn't even surprise me that that's what happened. I kind of figured it was going to happen at some point shortly after the way things went here, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have any ill will towards Rick for that. Um, Now, if we want to get into the Luke stuff, I absolutely 100% believe Luke and believe that other players on those teams would vouch for him and be able to say that what Luke is saying is 100% true. And
But let's unwrap this a little bit for the audience that may not know exactly the backstory here. So obviously, Rick was at Kentucky this weekend,
mhm,
and he was asked about Louisville. You know, he obviously talked about how it was great to be back in Kentucky and support his former player and all this, and he was buddies with Stoop, and he was asked, "Hey, do you ever see yourself making a return like this to Louisville?" And Rick's quote, which I don't have the exact quote, but paraphrasing was, "Hey, listen, I love my Louisville players. I love the fans there that supported me, but I don't, they fired me, and I think he said they fired me unjustly, and I don't see myself returning. I haven't been asked to come back, um, and I just don't see the same type of reunion that I'm having here at Kentucky."
yeah. And
Um,
he did, and I will say, I want it to be at least clear on this. If you go back and listen to his comments, what he was saying, he did leave it open ended for there to be a chance for him to come back to Louisville and make that same sort of get that same sort of admiration from the Louisville fan base like he got from UK. Reason I say that is because he said something along the lines of, me and Tom were fired, and basically we were, like you said, he did say something along the lines of we were wrongly fired or unjustly fired, and basically we were never given an apology. As soon as he said that, he left the door open. And that's what he wants from Louisville as a program. And that's what we don't know how far it has gone. He wants a Louisville program to say, hey, not just me, not just Rick, because Rick's not going to do that. Like, Rick is a loyal Tom Jurich guy. They're going to ride together and they're going to die together. Regardless of what their relationship is, that's the type of guy that Rick is. He's not going to just take it on his own. He's going to make sure that all ends are corrected, and he wants an apology for both Tom and him, and he left that door open. He did. So I want that to be, if you go back and you listen to what he was saying, just go back and listen to it. He left that door open. So I'm not. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we won't ever get that same thing that UK got this weekend. That we won't get that here, and hopefully, I pray that we do, because we need that closure. Tom deserves it. Rick deserves it. We all know what happened. Okay. And yeah, you could say, there were this chance and this chance and this chance and blah, 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 blah. But Rick brought us some of the highest of highs, and he deserves a lot of praise for that. And my opinion is that him and Tom were done wrongfully for one reason or another. We won't get into that, but I think that we could see a time in the future that Rick and Tom get their flowers.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think and we'll move on to football here soon, but Rick Pitino, I'm extremely thankful for his 20 plus years here. It was fun basketball. It was entertainment nonstop. And it was a national championship and 2 more Final Fours, with a lot of Elite Eights and Sweet 16 sprinkled in there. It was a shame the way it ended. Sometimes I think it was the wrong way to go about things. Sometimes I say, gosh, man, there was a lot of stuff going on in those last 5 to 6 years of his tenure. I don't have any problems with Rick Pitino. I'm very thankful, again, for what he did for our university.
Right.
And I don't have any problem with him going back to Kentucky and stuff. My only problem is there's always seems like this slight towards Louisville lately. And I understand his frustration with what happened here.
Yeah.
But you put your ex-players in a very precarious, weird position when you say stuff like that. And you say that nobody's reached out. And then Luke Hancock says, I've reached out. Peyton's reached out. Hell, I'll even tell you that the top of the top, Josh Hurd has reached out to Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
And welcome and told him to come back. So you put your players in this weird position. I understand you're supporting your former player in Mark Pope, but you've got a former player here that thinks extremely highly of you, talks about you all the time, that is on the coaching staff here. So to create this animosity towards the program, it's fine that you have some ill will towards the people that did or did not do you wrong. You think they did you wrong. I for the most part, think they did you wrong. But they're not here anymore, man. They're not here anymore. We've moved past that. Yes, would I love for us to mend fences with Rick and Tom? Of course. So those two are Mount Rushmore type people. But there is, in the meantime, my problem with Rick is you've got players here that are working for the university. Why the animosity? Why do you have to even talk about Louisville? If somebody asks you about Louisville, just say, hey man, no comment right now. Well, hopefully things will work out in the future, It's pandering to the UK fans to get back in their good graces, and that's fine if he wants to do it, but you're putting your old players that you say you love in awkward positions.
Yeah, and I mean, the long and short of it is like Rick loves attention. We know he loves it. Like we know he loves the spotlight, and it shouldn't come to a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. The way he's gone about this. Is it from our vantage point? And it's been talked about ad nauseum about how somebody like Matt Jones and KSR basically built a platform around tearing this guy and his program here down, and then him going back, and giving him some airtime, and some of that does seem kind of, I don't even know what the word is. Like, it just seems kind of messed up, but the fact of the matter is none of us are in Rick's position, and he's 69 years old now.
He's old, man.
And there's a lot of wisdom that comes with age, and
72 years old.
He's 72. So I can't sit here at 40 years old and say that some of the best times in my life that I wouldn't want to try to make amends and make it right and just tie up loose ends. And that being the case, I think, again, I think that that's going to be the case with Rick, before he leaves this earth. I think he will make amends with Louisville, because I think he sees it as unfinished business. And as far as his approach and the what did you say? I mean, the putting the players in a bad spot, and the antagonization, kind of I think he's still got some very hard feelings that he's not the coach here. I think that's the difference. When he left Kentucky to go be the coach of the Celtics. He had made that decision, and he had felt good about that decision and didn't have any second thoughts about it.
Well, he had second thoughts about it later, I think. But
well, that's hindsight's 2020. But the fact of the matter is, it was his choice. When he's no longer the coach at Louisville because it was not his choice. And you look at somebody like him who's very type A, very alpha driven, for him to have that kind of life-changing measure forced upon him, and it's not his choice, it doesn't sit right with him. So yeah, he's going to have a lot of hard feelings that. I empathize with that. I really do. I empathize where he's coming from. I don't feel like that it is unwarranted per se. I would be pissed off too. I mean, I would.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think he's going to want to, tie up loose ends and close bookends with Louisville. And I think that we will get our happy ending with Rick sooner or later, whenever that is.
Hope so. I mean, 72 years old as a basketball coach, you never know how much time someone's got left. So hopefully we can mend those fences. But let's get to what everybody wants to talk about. And that's the football team and the big game this weekend. Probably our biggest game of the year, biggest home game for sure. It's one that we have to have if we want to keep our playoff hopes alive, if we want to keep our ACC championship aspirations alive. You've got to win this game at home. Miami comes in here 6-0. They've squeaked by the last few weeks, but this is a team loaded with talent. They're averaging almost 600 yards of offense a game. Cam Ward's throwing for over 330 yards a game. He's got 20 touchdowns through the air. You're talking about an extremely talented team that has a little bit of that fire back that they haven't had in a while. But you're also talking about a team coached by Mario Cristobal, a guy that makes various mistakes, it seems like every year. Hasn't made one this year per se, but one's coming. And then you look at our team, we're coming off 2 straight losses, followed by a somewhat uninspiring win against Virginia. You can see the talent out there, but there's a lot of mistakes still. Penalties, lining up wrong, missing tackles. The fundamentals just don't seem to be there yet with this team. So Ross, what are your thoughts heading into, it's game week? What are your thoughts heading into Saturday, man?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I could be completely wrong, but I'm feeling pretty good about Saturday. I just got this weird gut feeling that, based on how this entire picture shapes up, Miami should really have 2 losses. You've got a Louisville team that's kind of like teetering back and forth, and we're on this kind of this apex of where we're going right now. And I see us winning this game. And I'm not trying to just end the show right here, but we can get into it further. But I just feel that everything around this is shaping up to be one of those Jeff Brom games where you feel like his team doesn't have much of a chance, and they just come out there and they just look like the better team and kick the shit out of the higher ranked team. That's really where I'm at right now. I feel like this is just shaped up into our favor.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, like I said, Miami's extremely talented. They got Cam Ward, a quarterback, who's a Heisman candidate. You've got Xavier Restrepo at wide receiver, a guy that, in the offseason we talked a lot about, a guy that we were hoping would go into the portal, and he's a top flight receiver. There are some question marks on this Miami team, though. Their offensive line has been a little iffy. Their defense hasn't been as good as you would expect it to be. It's an athletic defense with a lot of speed, but, I mean, they gave up a lot of points to Cal, a lot of points to Virginia Tech.
They're beatable.
They're definitely a beatable team. And you know that this is the game that Brom's going to let loose, hopefully. Now, we've been saying, has he been holding things back? Maybe, maybe not. But he's got a game plan for this game. And I think it's like I've said every week I've been on here before a game. It's all about the little things with this game. I think we have the talent to match Miami's. I think we have the coaching that is superior to Miami's.
I believe that 100%.
It's about the coaches getting these guys prepared from the first whistle. We got to cut out the drive killing penalties. Yep. You got to come out on defense that first series and get a stop. You've got to tackle. We can't have our best players missing tackles. I love Quincy Riley. Quincy Riley missed 2 or 3 tackles last week. That can't happen from a All-American type cornerback. So we need our guys to be focused from the first whistle. There's been too many times this year where we start off a game lackadaisical, and then in the middle part of the game, we pick it up, and then we can't finish. Now, we finished versus Virginia, and that was a big stepping stone for me, is to, have that drive to go up, and then also to get that defensive stop at the end of the game. So I want us to build off of that finish and also clean up the little stuff. You've got to clean up the little stuff this week to beat this Miami team.
Yeah, and basically what we need to see is we need to stop seeing second and long because of
you got to stay on schedule.
Some dumbass penalties. Like we need to see an offense that doesn't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties on first and second down, so that way we can have third and manageable. I that's really been the thing that has hurt this offense as far as clicking. You could point to different offensive units and whatnot, but the long and short of it is that first and second down, we're getting stupid ass penalties that's putting us behind the chains on third down. And Tyler Shuck can only play so much hero ball. You know what I mean? It's not fair to him to be out there and hey, go make a play every damn time. That can't happen. We need to be ahead of the chains. We need to get I thought we did a better job of it last Saturday against Virginia as far as being ahead of the chains. It was not perfect, but it was definitely a step in the right direction, and it was something that I had harped on in the podcast last week about being in third and manageable. So I think if we can see a trend in this game where we have a lot of third and manageables, I like our chance to win this game. I really do. I like the improvements that we saw from the defense on the defensive side of the ball last week. I believe in the talent of this defense. I think there's a shit ton of talent on that side of the ball. And I think it's just, I think there's everything there to for the defense to be the side of the ball that kind of carries this team this year. It's kind of what I expected to start the year, that the defense would kind of carry the team and the offense would kind of come along. It just kind of hasn't happened that way. But that being said, I think all the pieces are there. I believe in the talent on the secondary. I think that the linebacking group has talent. I mean, I just think that it's a matter of getting it all to click at the same time with the unit that's in front of them, the defensive line. So we will see. But I'm very, very confident in the defense showing out this game. That's honestly where I'm most confident going into this game. Is I'm confident in the defense. I think the defense is going to have their best showing of the season on Saturday.
Yeah. I think my real big key to this game is you've got a big-time quarterback on the other side in Cam Ward, but a guy who
is a dog.
As good as he is, he can make some mistakes. So I think pressuring him to some mistakes. We're going to need to win the turnover battle. So getting a turnover or two, I think, is going to be huge. And Cam Ward can turn the ball over. It was a big issue for him in the Virginia Tech game. And it was an issue for him back at Washington State, too. So I think that's going to be really key. I think, like you said, staying on schedule offensively. I think Russell makes a good point, or Anthony makes a good point here. Yeah, our explosive plays are big. And we get, it seems like we get a few of those per game, but we have to have sustained drives. And when we get in the red zone, we need 6 points. That's been a struggle this year. I feel like we've gotten down into that red zone area and have settled for trying to kick a field goal or go for it on fourth down too much. We need the ball in the end zone on Saturday. What about players, Ross? What are your key players for this game? Give me one on offense and one on defense that you're really looking to have big games and hopefully be key in a Cardinal victory.
Man, that's a good question. I'll start on offense. I think that we saw some expansion upon, Lacey's abilities last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look for him to expand upon that and make his for us to win this game, he's going to have to make a proclamation. Right now, like, it definitely seems like Ja'Cory Brooks is the number one on this team, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think if Lacey is able to, like, make a statement that he's the number one or number 1A on this team, I think that would go a very long way and us winning this game.
And Lacey had a couple of huge plays last week.
Yeah,
first downs on third down.
That third down conversion where he stutter stepped twice.
Yep.
And to get the first down, I mean, that was absolutely huge. That I thought that was tremendous. As far as the defense, I can't really put it on one player. I'm going to put it on the secondary as a whole.
Yeah.
I think that Cam Ward has shown a propensity in the past, going back to Washington State, that if you can cover guys, that you can, even though he's not under duress, you can speed up his internal clock.
Yeah.
And get him to make mistakes. If you can just keep receivers covered downfield. Now, he has the ability to make the play with his legs. And that's, for him to not do that, you're going to have your defensive ends play very wide, in my opinion. And you're going to have them contain, and you're going to have to flush Cam Ward back up into the middle. And if he's going to beat you with his legs, you want him to beat you with his legs up the middle, because I feel like once he does that, he's going to pull his eyes off downfield and he's going to run. Like, I feel like when he's outside the pocket and he's running, he's keeping his eyes downfield. But when he's in the middle of the field, he's not looking downfield. He's going to run. So it's up to the secondary.
We've got to defend that middle of the field, though, man. We've been gashed a couple times by these quarterbacks.
I know, and that's the thing. But it's all about matchups, right? So, like, quarterbacks, like Cam Ward, if you watch him, when he's extending plays and he's making tremendous plays, extra plays, it's outside the pocket and it's outside the hashes. Like, he doesn't make those hero throws and everything inside the hashes. Like, you need to funnel him back in, because if you do that, you're going to minimize his playmaking ability. I truly believe that. So I believe if you can have the secondary cover for an extended period of time, that I do believe that our guys on the D line are going to get home. And I do believe at times that we'll probably have a linebacker or, you know, somebody like Ben Perry or Antonio Watts, like, coming up and bringing pressure. So you really want to funnel him back to the center of the football field. I think that's where, if you can keep him from making plays outside the hashes, and that really relies upon the secondary covering, I think if you can do that, we're going to win this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll kind of start on defense, because I think you're right in what you say, and the defense as a whole, as a unit, needs to be disciplined. And there's not really like one player that can turn the tide, but I think there is one player who I saw positive signs from last week. They didn't move him inside and out as much, and they let him sit on the edge more. And that's Ashton Gelati. I thought there was a couple series. Now, he sat out a couple series, which I don't know what that was about, but there's a couple series when he was in against Virginia where he controlled the game. I mean, he was in the backfield for 3 straight plays. And I think him putting that pressure on Cam Ward, but not over pursuing, like you said. You've got to, when you're facing a quarterback like Ward, you've got to make sure you get to him, but that you don't over pursue to create rushing lanes. But I think Ashton needs to have a big game. I think he needs to build off of last week. I think our defensive staff needs to see what happened last week with the, more focused on the edge rush rather than having them inside, having them play back at linebacker. Listen, the guy is a great edge rusher. Use him there. So I think he's going to be big for the defense. I think offensively, the guy, and he's been the guy all year, but this is against his hometown team, a team that recruited him. I think Isaac Brown has to keep building off of the year he's having so far. Us getting those big first down, second down runs and staying ahead of schedule, like we've talked about, is going to be the key to this game. So we've got to rely on Isaac Brown to get us those chunk yards and to get us into manageable situations on second and third down. I've never in my life as a U of L fan seen, there might be one or two guys. There might be a Brian Brom was a great freshman, although he only got series with Stefan LaFleur's playing most of the game, and Michael Bush came in here ready to play.
Isaac Brown is on the level of a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, and Lamar obviously was a very good freshman too. But yeah, a guy like Isaac and what he's doing as a true freshman is so rare in college football, and even more rare here at the University of Louisville, that you kind of are like, is the pumpkin gonna, is the clock gonna strike 12? He's really, really good, but does he at some point this season wear down with the grind of a college football season? I don't think so, but that's always in the back of my mind. But no, I think this is going to be a game where hopefully he's got that extra motivation, and we feed him the ball, man. We feed him the ball. All right, so let's kind of wrap this up, Ross. Let's talk about predictions for this game. What we think the score is going to be. Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. When we had our it's funny when we had our preseason episode where we kind of went game by game. I said I think we're going to lose the Notre Dame game, and then I think we're going to lose the SMU game. But I think we're going to come back and beat Virginia, and I think we're going to win out from there. So I'm hoping my predictions are right for the season. And I do think, listen, I think Brom's going to have the boys prepared. I think this is going to be the game that catapults us into playing really good football the rest of the year. I have not seen a complete game yet out of this team, other than maybe the first game, which was against really subpar competition. And I think this is going to be the first game that we get a complete game. I think Cam Ward's going to do his thing, but we're going to be able to contain him better than anybody has yet this year. And I think you're going to see some, explosions on offense from our offense. I think you're going to see big plays. I think you're going to see sustained drives. And I think you're going to see, guys like some of these young bucks like Isaac Brown, Jamari Johnson, really become stars on the big stage. Because this is a big stage game. I know it's at noon, but it's a big game in the ACC and the national playoff picture. So I think we come out strong for the first time really since the first week. And I think this is similar to the Notre Dame game last year. I don't think it's a total blowout, but I think we're in control of this game. And I'm going to go with a 35-24 win for the Cards.
Damn, you stole my score. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly where I was at. I think for us to win this game, we're going to have to score, we're going to have to score 34 or above. I think we're going to have to hold Miami under 30 to win. So that's kind of where I was at. I like you said, I think Cam Ward's he's gonna get his. He's gonna look like the player that he is for the most part. But I feel that the defense is going to have their best outing of the year, and they're going to make enough stops to limit their efficiency as far as scoring in the red zone. So, and I got this weird feeling, like not just Isaac Brown. I got this weird feeling like Duke Watson is going to make some big plays.
I like Duke.
Yeah, I feel like they've been giving him a little more opportunity, and I think they were kind of maybe on the fence of whether to like burn his red shirt or not. And I think that they've kind of come off the fence off of that and decided that they're going to roll the dice. So I would not be surprised to see both Isaac Brown and Duke Watson carrying the load this coming weekend against Miami. I think Shuck's going to have a tremendous game. He's going to have a tremendous game for us to win this game. And he's going to have to show that he's every bit that Cam Ward is and maybe a little more. I got us winning this game. You stole my score verbatim. I was going to say 35-24. But I'll say 37-28. Louisville.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, it'll be a big weekend. I hope everybody gets out there. Sold out crowd. I know it's a noon game, but hey, that Florida State game was a noon game, and it was still an awesome environment. What do you got for us, Ross? What are your final thoughts here?
Well, I mean, to me, like I've expressed the whole episode, this is shaped up to be one of those Jeff Brom games. But that being said, it's not one of those Jeff Brom games unless we have one of those Jeff Brom pregame speeches. So I'm invoking that spirit, and I'm putting it out into the universe that we need. This is the game. All right. We haven't had it yet. We're a year and a half into the Jeff Brom era, and we haven't had any chair throwing, chair smashing. We haven't had any of that. And this is the game right here where we put our chips in and leave them where they lie. And our backs are up against the wall for this season. And we have the dogs, I believe, to make this the season that we believe that it was all going to be. So, I mean, all that we're missing is a Jeff Brom pregame speech. So, all I'm saying is that we go out there for 4 quarters and win this football game, and we keep our composure, and we keep our composure, all right, and we do what we got to do to win this fucking football game.